The Samsung Galaxy S4 Mini is mostly a miniaturized version of the Samsung Galaxy S4. It's designed to appeal those of us looking for a smaller and more affordable phone. But how does the Mini compare to the regular S4, and what are the trade-offs we would make when picking this compact handset? Well, this video, a detailed comparison between the S4 and the S4 Mini, will answer these questions and others you might have, so tag along. The Mini retains the general aspect of the standard Galaxy S4, and on a first look you won't notice any differences between the two, except for the overall size gap of course. And that's because the same ports, buttons and design aspects we've seen on the S4 were kept on the smaller model. Even the choice in materials remained the same. Both offer the hyperglazed plastic backs and both are available in either white or black. Just a quick heads up, in this particular video we have a white Mini and a darker S4. The S4 Mini comes with a 4.3-inch screen, and that's mid-sized by current standards, especially when compared to the large 5-inch screen of the S4. That however helped Samsung create a phone that you can actually grab and easily use with a single hand, something I for one cannot do with the standard S4. The Mini is not just smaller, it's also lighter, and that adds up to the overall good impression it makes when first getting your hands on this phone. But there are trade-offs you'll make with the S4 Mini. Let's talk about the screens for a moment. On the larger S4 there's a 5-inch Full HD display, while the Mini settles for a 4.3-inch QHD one. That translates in lower pixel density, or in other words, less sharp content. Now in practice that should not bother you at all, although fine details and texts do look crisper on the S4. Still, I would have expected a 720p screen on the Mini. That aside, the two screens are pretty much similar in terms of colors, brightness and all the other details, as both use AMOLED panels. There is however a pentile matrix on the larger S4, but given the high pixel density, you shouldn't really care about that. Overall, everything looks vibrant on these displays, and as long as you won't use your phones too often in bright light, you won't have anything to complain about them. Under the screens, the two Galaxy smartphones pack completely different hardware platforms. On the S4 Mini you get a dual-core Qualcomm processor with 1.5GB of RAM, while on the S4 there's either a quad-core or an octa-core processor with 2GB of RAM and faster graphics. So on paper and in synthetic benchmarks as well, the S4 demolishes its compact relative. However, when it comes to actually using the two phones, the Mini is surprisingly snappy. It can easily keep up with its more powerful sibling, and in some cases it's actually even faster, as you can see from the next part of this video. The lower resolution definitely helps here. In fact, you'll only feel that the Mini is slower when it comes to loading some games and performing more complex tasks, like editing videos or photos. Both phones run Android Jelly Bean 4.2.2 with TouchWiz on top. Samsung preloads them with almost the same apps and features, but the S4 has some extras over the Mini. For instance, it bundles more gestures. Air gestures, Air View and several eye tracking options are available on the S4 and missing on the Mini. Because of that, there's no IR sensor above the screen on the smaller device. And while we're here, I should mention that the notification LED available on the S4 was cut off from the Mini. Next to that, the S4 offers a handy optical reader app and S-Health, which combined with the integrated barometer, pedometer and thermometer helps you keep track of what you eat, how much you exercise and so on. You won't find this on the Mini. What else? Well, the S4 comes with a higher sensitivity screen, and that means that you can use it with gloves on if you want to. The S4 also offers this multi-window mode that allows you to split the screen between two different apps, and that wasn't included on the Mini. Besides that, there's also a different keyboard on the compact Galaxy with only 4 rows, while on the larger version Samsung added an extra row of numbers on top. You should know that the S4 is available with 16, 32 or 64GB of storage, while the Mini only comes with 8GB of space. Out of that, about 9GB are available on the 16GB version of the S4 and about 5 and a bit on the 8GB version of the Mini. You can of course add microSD cards on the two, as both feature a card slot beneath the removable rear plates. However, you cannot install apps and games directly on the SD card, and if you plan on having many of those on your phone, you'll quickly run out of space. On the Mini, you can move certain parts of the installed apps on the SD card, but that won't help much. On the S4, that option is not even available though. We should also talk about the cameras on these two phones. They offer decent front-facing shooters. The one on the S4 is sharper and can take 1080p clips, while the Mini settles for only 720p recordings and fuzzier details. See for yourself. On the back, the S4 sports a 13-megapixel camera, while the Mini only offers an 8-megapixel shooter. The camera interface is pretty much similar on the two, with plenty of modes, filters and manual settings to choose from. Some of the things available on the S4, however, were cut off from the Mini, like dual shot, drama shot, eraser or animated photo. Besides that, there's no video image stabilization for the smaller Galaxy. Anyway, let's have a look at some pictures and clips. The S4 is a good camera phone and the Mini trails behind it in pretty much all situations. Outside, the pics coming out of the Mini are fairly good, but in dimmer light there's plenty of noise in those images shot with the compact S4. And the focus system does not always work as intended. Anyway, check out the pictures and the videos included here and let me know what do you think about them in the comments. So all in all, you are going to miss some things when choosing the S4 Mini over the S4, but that was expected. You should however ask yourself how much you care about those extras. Are those something you'd use on a daily basis? If yes, then the S4 is the one for you. Otherwise, the S4 Mini is just as beautiful and as snappy, while more compact and more affordable. Over here, for instance, it sells off contract for about 20% less than the Galaxy S4. Besides that, the S4 Mini is just as good as the S4 when it comes to handling calls. It does offer the same connectivity options, including 4G LTE support, and does last for a while on a charge. The Mini packs a smaller 1900 mAh battery than the 2600 mAh one on the S4. But paired with the lower resolution screen and less demanding hardware, that translates in good battery life expectations. The handset can easily last through the day with average use and for a couple of days when used lightly, which is on par if not better than what we get with the larger S4. The batteries are removable on both these phones, but Samsung does spice up their premium Galaxy with optional wireless charging, something you're not getting on the Mini. A neat feature, but I for one can live without it. Bottom point, Samsung made compromises with the S4 Mini. This one is not very powerful, bundles a lower resolution screen, small storage space and does not impress with its features. Regardless though, the S4 Mini feels more like a simple, proper phone. I don't know about you, but I'm not into gimmicky features that I'd barely use. I'd rather have something that handles smoothly the everyday activities, that's comfortable to use and carry around, and doesn't cost a fortune. And that's why I like the S4 Mini so much. It does all these. The S4 remains the premium handset, bundling the best in terms of specs, features and apps. But like all Android heavyweights of the moment, it's large and rather pricey. If you're fine with this or just want a top-of-the-line phone, go for it. Otherwise, the Mini is an alternative to consider. And that pretty much wraps this up. But don't go away before letting me know which one would you pick between these two, the 5-inch S4 or the more compact S4 Mini. Leave your replies below. Anyway, that's about it for now. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this clip, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. I'll catch you later.